resolution read into you. Okay. You can read it in the record. It's on the appointment.
Okay.
Mayor?
We'll make the appointments.
Okay.
Okay.
This has to do with
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. We'll go ahead and get started. I call to order the meeting of the Manassas Park Governing Body for January 12th, 2021. Per the General Assembly's approval of the Governor's amendments to the biennial budget, the governing body may now meet electronically without a quorum actually assembled in a single location and without the in-person governing body members voting on the participation of those who are remoting in. The following benchmarks for the meeting this evening have been met. First, the governor has declared a state of emergency for the current COVID-19 pandemic in accordance with Code of Virginia. Second, the declared emergency makes it impractical or potentially unsafe for the governing body to assemble in a single location, and guidance from state and federal government support this determination. Therefore, the governing body will be meeting with various members participating electronically through GoToMeeting. Third, the meeting is to discuss or transact the business statutorily required or necessary to continue operations of the governing body. Fourth, the governing body will make available a recording or transcript of the meeting on its website in accordance with Code of Virginia. Fifth, notice has been and will continue to be provided to the public using available methods. Lastly, we have made and will continue to make arrangements for public access through electronic means, including the ability to comment. Those participating electronically are Councilmember Hasib Javed, Councilmember Alana Mensing, and Vice Mayor Banks. Those participating in person are Councilmember Yessi Amaya, Councilmember Laura Hampton, Councilmember Darrell Moore, and Mayor Jeanette Rischel. So let's move on to the the agenda. There are some amendments to the agenda this evening. First of all, in 9J, the Prince William Library Board appointment will be removed and deferred. For 9C and 9D, we need to flip the order of the appointments, since being a VRE alternate is contingent upon being a PRTC alternate. And 9E, we will add NVTA Planning Coordination and Advisory Committee for approval. So I think those are the only edits. Are there any other amendments, changes to the agenda? Okay, hearing none and seeing none. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
All opposed, abstained, motion carries. Thank you. Next, please join us in a moment of silence. And Councilmember Hampton, would you lead us in the pledge?
It's been a while since I've done that. I hope I remember it.
It's like riding a bike.
It's like high school, I think. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay. We have 3 newly elected council members with us this evening, and we would like to give them a proper welcome by having each one of them say a few words if they are willing to do so. So let's begin with Councilmember Laura Hampton.
Good evening to my fellow members of the governing body, to members of the Manassas Park staff that are watching, as well as to any residents of Manassas Park who are watching. My name is Laura Hampton, as the mayor mentioned. In addition, I am born and raised here in Manassas Park, also a homeowner here in Manassas Park. But most importantly, I'm here to serve the residents, as well as to encourage residents to help us make decisions, help us give us input. And in the coming weeks, you'll see that you'll hear about some different initiatives that I'll bring up to the board to look at that'll include residents participating in it. And I'm looking forward to, like I said, serving the residents. That's what I'm here for. Questions big or small, concerns large or small, ideas large and small, please reach out to me. Please get involved. This is your city. This is our city. I'm here to serve everybody. Just reach out to me at any time. Thank you so much.
Councilmember Yessi Amaya.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to serve. I have lived in Manassas Park for 20 years. So again, like Laura, I'm here to serve. I'm here to help, and I'm here to answer any questions, and I'm here to learn as well. So I'm glad I'm with a great team. So we'll see where all takes us, and I'm hoping that we can make our city better and more inclusive and have better communication. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Darrell Moore.
Thank you all. First of all, I just want to thank all the voters that supported me and put their trust in me to represent them here on this governing body. I also want to thank all the countless number of volunteers who put in many hours to work on my campaign. I just greatly appreciate your effort and time that you spent. Special thanks to my campaign manager, Justin Daniels, who I could not have done it without his support and without his help. And then finally, I want to thank my grandkids who came out and walked literature pieces for me, all 8 of them. It was great to have family out there helping me get elected to the governing body. And then finally, a special thanks to my husband, who has supported me throughout the years in all of my endeavors and encouraged me to run for office here in Manassas Park. I look forward to working with the mayor and my colleagues here on the dais. I will be accessible, I'll be transparent, and with an open ear to the concerns that our citizens might have and bring to me. I look forward to working with each and every one of you, and I know this is going to be a wonderful and awesome year. Thank you all.
Thank you, and we welcome you. Okay, moving on to public comment time. An email was sent in for public comment by Ms. Stacy Fleming. Dear Ms. Connor, please have my comments read and passed along. I live at 9212 William Street. I do not believe we should resolve a speeding problem by putting a stop sign in a low-traffic area. This increases pollution, noise, and provides just another opportunity to break the law. If a speeder is speeding, will they not just run the stop sign? Speeding happens in front of my house as well. As staff, pre-COVID, race to get to school in the morning, does this mean we should put a stop sign at Bradley and William Street? No, of course not. Those racing down Manassas Drive are also running through the stop sign at Carondelet Drive and Manassas Drive. Question, what is the purpose of a stop sign? Answer, the stop sign is used to assign right-of-way at an intersection and to make sure that traffic flows smoothly and predictably. Question, will a stop sign reduce speeding in my neighborhood? Answer, because a stop sign is used to assign right-of-way at an intersection. It is not an effective means to control speeding. Research shows that where stop signs are installed as deterrents or speed breakers, there are high incidences of intentional violations resulting in accidents. When vehicles must stop, the speed reduction is only near the stop sign, and drivers tend to speed up between stop sign-controlled intersections. When not required to stop by cross-street traffic, only 5 to 20% of all drivers come to a complete stop. 40 to 60% will come to a rolling stop below 5 miles per hour, and 20 to 40% will pass through at higher speeds. Stop signs are not warranted in the manual on uniform traffic control devices as an effective measure to reduce speeding. The website link to documents on the River Falls, Wisconsin website has also been included in Ms. Fleming's email. Thank you, Ms. Fleming, for your comments. Are there any other emails that have come in? Any public comment by the public? Anything? Okay. Seeing none and hearing none, we will move on.
I'm on the sign-up list.
I beg your pardon? Oh, you signed in. Okay. I didn't know you had signed in. Okay. Okay.
the official way. I'm going to take it off so you can hear me. Just want to say welcome to all the new board members. They're all here tonight. This is where your 29 cents an hour job starts right now. It hasn't already started with all the emails, so welcome. I do want to say with you all three present, your success is our success. Whether I'm sitting on that side of the dais or I'm sitting in a chair on this side, you know, our collective success depends on the seven of you guys and you guys at home too. So we want you to be successful. And I appreciate you guys getting to work and you know, getting into all the things. I wanted to just say I did send an email to the city clerk about 2 corrections for the minutes for the 2 meetings that I was at personally. So she should have those. I sent them this evening. And I also wanted to point out, in case I'm not on your emails anymore, but our Manassas Park's name is spelled incorrectly in the health department. The health department contracted them for ratification tonight. So I think we had this issue before where they're the ones that provide. They actually provided to us, so it wasn't a city-created document, but perhaps that could be put into the motion to have the health department actually correct it on our behalf so that it reflects our correct name. So legally, I guess it wouldn't matter that much, but it is a pride of our city that we want it to be represented correctly throughout the whole state, because I think this is a great place to live, and I hope a lot of other people think that as well. So thank you for serving, and we'll be watching from the audience. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Donald.
Okay. Thank you, Donald. Okay, the consent agenda consists of the approval of the minutes. Which date did you want amended? The 8th or the 15th or both, Donald?
Was one on page 30 and one on page 33.
Okay, Lena will. Okay.
I sent you an email by page.
Okay, well, the amended minutes of either December 8th or December 15th, and approval of the annual funding and services agreement for the Prince William County Health District per amendments and corrections noted during public comment time. Dr. Ansher, Director of the Health District, has been invited to address the governing body and will very likely attend one of the February meetings. So do we have a motion?
I forget how to do this. I make
So
the
moved.
Okay. Do we have a second?
second.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I'm going to abstain.
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
Okay. Oppose, abstain?
Yes.
Okay. Actually, there should be 3 abstentions since the 3 of you were not at the.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, okay, so may we put you down as an abstention?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
okay, thank you.
Can you all make sure also your mics are a little bit closer to your mouth?
Okay, we have no old business, so moving on to new business. First is the selection of our vice mayor per charter of the city. Do we have anyone interested in being vice mayor? Our previous vice mayor is Preston Banks, who is currently serving. So do we?
Does he wish to continue to serve?
Preston? Can you hear us?
Sure.
Preston, are you interested in serving, continuing to serve, or do you wish to relinquish?
Sure, I'll continue serving.
Okay, well then the motion would be to appoint current Vice Mayor Preston Banks to the position of Vice Mayor per charter of the City of Manassas Park until the first meeting in January following the next city election. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Okay, second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you, Preston. Congratulations. Are you okay, Preston? You look, yeah. I think maybe your audio is not quite what it could be.
At the wrong time. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Moving on, the next is 9B, and that is the Northern Virginia Regional Commission. I currently serve on the Regional Commission, and I would like to continue my service. if that is agreeable to the governing body.
I move that we appoint Mayor Rischel
Okay. Do we
to
have
the Northern
a,
Virginia Regional Commission.
okay, thank you. Do we have a second?
Second?
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. Did we have a no? Okay, I thought I heard a no. Okay.
I think there's
I
a
mean,
lag.
which is perfectly fine.
No, I think there's a lag between,
Oh, I see, there's a lag, yeah, okay.
so we want to wait like a few, maybe 10 seconds.
Yeah, okay. Okay, next we'll take, let's do the PRTC first so that then we can do the VRE, since one is contingent on the other. The current PRTC commissioner is, I serve in that capacity, and I've served in that capacity for 4 years. Vice Mayor Banks is currently a PRTC alternate, which enables him to represent the city on the VRE board. Councilmember Mensing and Councilmember Moore were interested in those positions. Is there any discussion? No. Okay, thank you. So the motion would be to appoint Mayor Rischel to continue her term as representative to the PRTC, and to appoint 3 alternates, Vice Mayor Preston Banks, Councilmember Alana Mensing, and Councilmember Darrell Moore. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second? Do we have, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed?
Aye.
Abstained? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Now we move on to the Virginia Rail Express Operations Board. Vice Mayor Banks serves as our representative on that board. He will continue and will not need reappointment until his next election is concluded. So right now we'll be voting on an alternate. Councilmember Alana Mensing has expressed interest in that. Do we have a motion?
They do
So moved.
PRE appointed each time.
Oh, wait a second. I'm sorry, Lena.
The DRE, Preston Banks, right now is the number, they do want him.
Oh, they do. Okay.
Yes, she has.
Okay. Do you want me to read the resolution, Lena? I beg your pardon?
That's up to you, I gave each one.
Okay, let me go ahead and read the previous resolution that we had already voted on. Whereas bylaws of Potomac-Rappahannock Transportation Commission requires formal resolutions for each jurisdiction for commission appointments, and whereas Donald Shoemaker and Hector Sendejas are no longer on Manassas Park governing body, and their names should be removed, and whereas on January 12th, 2021, the governing body of the City of Manassas Park by resolution appointed the following as representatives to the Potomac-Rappahannock Transportation Commission: PRTC City Representative Jeanette Rischel, Preston Banks, council member, serves as first alternate. Darrell Moore, council member, appointed as second alternate, and Alana Mensing, council member, appointed third alternate. Be it further resolved that Preston Banks is appointed as the VRE board member, and Alana Mensing is appointed to serve the city as first alternate on the VRE board. Be it further resolved that all representatives will serve at the pleasure of the governing body until their term expires on council. So let's vote on this, since we had not voted on Preston or Alana's appointment. So do we have
If I could just make one comment.
Oh, yeah.
Preston is listed as a council member, that we should be listed as a vice mayor.
Oh,
Read it out as council
yes,
member.
you're absolutely right. Note the correction. Preston Banks is vice mayor and serves as first alternate, so we'll make that correction. Okay.
I was going to change that as soon as he was appointed tonight. Okay, thanks.
Thank you. So do we have a motion for this?
So moved.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, that wasn't too confusing. Okay, the next is appointment to the Northern Virginia Transportation Authority. I currently serve as the member representative of the city to the NVTA. That enables me to serve on the Finance Committee and the Planning and Programming Committee. Also, we need a reappointment of Vice Mayor Banks to the Planning, Coordination, and Advisory Committee. So do we have a motion to that effect?
So moved. Sorry.
And second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, moving on to Metropolitan Washington Council of Government appointments. The COG Board of Directors, Councilmember Moore has expressed interest. The Climate, Energy, and Environment Policy Committee, Councilmember Mensing has expressed interest in that, and I currently serve on the Transportation Planning Board. Is anyone interested in the Air Quality Committee, Human Services Policy Committee, or Chesapeake Bay and Water Resources?
I'll take the water resources.
Water Resources. Okay. Is anyone interested in the Human Services Policy Committee?
I'll take that one.
Okay. Is anyone interested in the Air Quality Committee?
I'm looking, but I believe Javed Hassan is on one of these. I was looking at the,
I'm having a little trouble hearing you, Lena.
One of them, two things.
yeah,
Asib.
he's already
Okay.
on one of them. That's what I was looking at.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Doesn't know.
I didn't see that on the agenda.
Hasib, are you on any of the COG committees right now?
No, I don't believe I was on any of the COG committees.
There's a listing.
The list itself had him. He may not still be interested, but he was on it. And I didn't take anybody off.
Okay. Hasib, are you interested?
What's left?
Air quality.
Air quality.
Sure, yeah. You sign me up for that one.
Are you up for that? Okay. Okay. The motion would be to appoint to the COG Board of Directors, Councilmember Moore, to the Transportation Planning Board, Mayor Rischel, to the Air Quality Committee, Councilmember Javed, to the Human Services Policy Committee, Councilmember Amaya, to the Chesapeake Bay and Water Resources, Councilmember Hampton, and the Climate and Energy Environmental Policy Committee, Councilmember Mensing. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Okay. All opposed, abstained, motion carries. Thank you. Okay, wait a second. Now, moving on to 9G, the next two agenda items are appointments to the Board of Equalization and the Economic Development Authority. Their applications are in your packet. I've spoken with both of these gentlemen, and both are highly qualified with a variety of work and life experiences, and I recommend both for your approval. First, we have Mr. Stephen McKinney. The recommended motion is to recommend Mr. McKinney to Circuit Court for a 3-year appointment to the Board of Equalization. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Abstained?
Aye. For abstain.
And you're a yes, or you're an
I'm
abstain?
abstaining.
Okay, thank you. One abstention from Councilmember Hampton. Okay, motion passes. The next appointment is Mr. Alfranda Doer. The recommended motion is to appoint Mr. Al Doer to the Economic Development Authority for a 2-year term until November 16th, 2022. Do we have a motion?
Moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstained? Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you, folks. Okay, next is appointment to Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee. Reappointment of Martha Collier and Richard Schubert. So the recommended motion is to reappoint Ms. Martha Collier and Mr. Richard Schubert to the Parks and Recreation Advisory Commission for a 3-year term. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Abstain? Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, moving on to 9J. The library board was removed and deferred to a future meeting. So we have the governing body member representative to the Social Services Advisory Board. Who would like to step up and assume that position?
I would.
Okay. Is anyone else interested? Not that we're going to have a competition or anything, but okay. Okay. Excuse me. My throat's getting dry. Next is the member representative from the governing body to the Parks and Recreation Advisory Commission. Do we have someone who will step up for that one?
I'll step up.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay, the motion is to appoint Councilmember Amaya to serve as the governing body representative to the Social Services Advisory Board and to appoint Councilmember Hampton as the governing body representative to the Parks and Recreation Advisory Commission. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. Thank you, folks. We've filled all of our slots. I think that's wonderful. Thank you for everyone who stepped up. I think that's terrific. Okay, moving on to 9K, which is FY22 budget calendar and guidance to city manager. And I just want to say that I would like to, if it's agreeable to everyone, add March 23rd to the schedule. This is because the school division cannot present their budget on March 30th, but they are available to present on the 23rd. And if we could please add this to as a date certain, then I would be able to respond affirmatively to Chair McIntyre-Yurkovich.
So removing the 30th?
Well, we would leave it on in case we needed an extra work session, but we would, instead of having one of these as late March, it would be a date certain of March 23rd. If there's no are there any objections to this? No. Okay. Okay. Well, City Manager, I leave it up to you as to which one to have the 23rd.
Good to go, or
Beg your pardon?
am I okay to representing?
Yes, go ahead.
All right.
Go ahead.
I just want to say good evening to members of the governing body. Welcome to the new members. But happy to be serving you all, and hope that we providing the best possible recommendations to you all on the best way forward. This is the first action item that I have tonight, which is the budget calendar and an introduction to the guidance piece. I just want to give you a quick overview, and I actually have a Word document up here, so if there's any other changes, we're going to discuss the March 23rd. We'll go ahead and make that, and then any other changes you feel we want to make, we can go ahead and edit this document, and then that's the one that we can go ahead and ratify, and I can share with staff, and we can all be on the same page in terms of what's going on. So again, the purpose of this calendar. We try to set it as early as possible just to lay out the different meetings that we feel we need to get through the budget season. Most jurisdictions actually begin the budget process sooner because their real estate assessments are based off of calendar years. Ours is based off of fiscal year. So whereas most budget planning officials will get their assessment data, November, December, timeframe, January, we don't get ours until late March. And you can't develop a budget without knowing what your revenues are. And our real estate assessment data, is the largest share of revenue for the entire city. It's the biggest component. So we really don't know what we have until we get that assessment data. And that's why I present the city manager budget. Usually the first meeting in April is the target to get to, because by that time I would have had the assessment data for 2 weeks, and then my staff and I scramble for those 2 weeks to make any adjustments and get you all a presentation as early as possible so you all feel you have enough time to deliberate on the actual budget. But you can see with the timeline here, we've already begun. So pre-January 15th, so actually by November 1st is when the departments and the schools submitted their CIP project requests to my office and to the zoning administrator per the city code. It's a requirement. We started holding our CIP meetings this month. Actually, last week we started holding the first few meetings for the CIP to start understanding the new project requirements. So we're already working on the CIP. We'll do a presentation to the Planning Commission on February 10th, as recommended here on the budget schedule. So the Planning Commission is usually the first I think it's state law actually. They have to actually review the CIP, make a recommendation to you all, the governing body, on the CIP. The reason why the Planning Commission is tasked to do that is because they're essentially the recommenders of the comprehensive plan to you all as well. And that their perspective is, are these projects supporting the vision of the comprehensive plan or not? And that's why the zoning administrator is also involved in the CIP process. Also during that time is when I'm really looking for your all's input as well, prior to my April 6th presentation and the lead up over these next few weeks. Really thinking about what you all want to accomplish. That's the guidance piece. That's another part of this agenda item. No action expected tonight, but I just wanted to, I just wanted to start giving you all an overview. This will be your first time over the last few years. The governing body has submitted kind of their priority list of what they want accomplished in the budget. And then I developed a long spreadsheet with all the different priority lists, and we set up a survey, and everyone starts ranking by preference. What is their priority? And then we end up consolidating and figure out what is the top 10 list priority of the governing body that they want to accomplish in the budget. So all that's done before I finalize the city manager budget, so I know what your all's priorities are for the budget. So that's what you'll see prior to April 6th. It's really those moving pieces of the CIP, your inputs, and then internally, just a lot of staff meetings, a lot of meetings with the departments. We start with expenditures in February. We review those heavily, and then we look at revenues in March until we get the assessment data. We finalize our revenue position, and then we balance the budget or develop surplus or whatever strategy we want to take. And then the month of April is the busiest month of the year for us because we have meetings pretty much every day. The last few years it's been April through, I think, the first week of June, where maybe we took like 1 week off. It's literally every week we have meetings. It's really up to you all about how much you all want to discuss the budget, how much detail. But we do have a lot of presentations for you all as well. So think of April as a lot of presentations, and then discussion. And if you need more discussion, we have plenty of Tuesdays in May and June to get there. There's a few nuances here. So the school budget is a little bit interesting. So you almost adopt the school budget twice. We do so via resolution no later than May 15th per guidance or from state requirements of voting on, the governing body voting on a school budget by that date. But then we also incorporate into the budget ordinance when you all adopt the overall city budget as well. That usually happens in June. So usually by early May or mid-May
is when you all decide, okay, what's the budget numbers that you want to advertise to the public, and also vote on a school board budget resolution as well. The advertisement doesn't force you to adopt that budget. That just sets the cap, right? You can reduce the expenditures by that amount, but you have to set the tax rate and at least the expenditure ceiling by that date. But beyond that, you have flexibility to alternate anything within that post that time. So keep that in the back of your mind that May 11th is what I have here tentatively on the calendar. We can push that back, but we start running up into the deadline of June 30th, right? That's the last day we have to pass of next FY22 budget, and there's a public hearing component to that. So we're advertising for public hearing. You have to advertise for 2 consecutive weeks. You hold the public hearing, and then I believe you have to wait 2 weeks before you can vote on the budget after the public hearing as well. So besides the public hearing, we always try to designate a day just to try to get the public to start providing inputs. I may have missed it on, now here it is. So April 20th. So I present on April 6th. We like to give the public a couple weeks and then they come in, and they can come in at any time as well. But we like to emphasize, please come in around that time and let's hear your thoughts on what was presented in the city manager budget. What do you agree with? What are your priorities essentially? So it's not, residents shouldn't feel that they're just constrained to that public hearing. They can come at any time before and talk about the budget. But we also designate on our calendar, we like to designate a date where we really want to hear from them as we're in the process of deliberating on the budget as well. So after the public hearing, I always highlight that yellow. So decisions are highlighted in green. Yellow from you all. Yellow is when we have the public hearing, and then red is the last day of the fiscal year that we have to hold a special meeting to adopt the budget if we haven't made a decision yet on what we want to do with the budget. So if you can, over the next few weeks, and let me see what I recommended here.
Lasso, would you also please add March 23rd?
Yeah, I'm going to do that.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So the first step is the guidance from you all. I'd like to, if we can discuss those in March, that means you really have the next few weeks. So no later than probably maybe the end of the 3rd week of February. If you can get that to me, that way I have time to consolidate those onto a long spreadsheet that you all can then, we'll create a survey for you all to fill out, and you can start discussing those in March as well.
Quick question, are you referring to, so I'm going to take this off. Quick question, you're referring to what we perceive as our priorities?
Absolutely.
Okay.
What you want to accomplish in the budget.
Okay, another quick question on about April 20th, allowing folks to come in. Do they physically come in? Do they meet with you? Do they meet with members of the governing body? How does that work? Or they just look, or they just send in comments?
It's a public input time, so they can either email. So because of COVID-19, we try to encourage virtual as much as possible. And it actually has been working out. We've actually been, I would argue, receiving more comments now because it's virtual. So they're invited to email us. They can even post that night on our YouTube page, and Keith tracks those comments. They can call, Lano before, say, please read this into the record, or they can come that evening if they want to, and also state. But it's not a one-on-one meeting.
They can also telephone any member of the governing body. All of our contact information is on the website. So
I just wanted to make that clear, because if I'm not clear, I'm pretty sure others weren't clear.
Gotcha.
Madam Mayor.
Yes.
Mr. City Manager, the priority list, will we get a chance to get a copy of last year's priority list to build on as we go forward?
I can email it to you, and it's also in the budget.
Okay.
You all know how to find the budget, because I can pull up let me pull up the website right now. So we all know where to find the budget. But it's usually in my my executive letter to you all and to the public. I actually put in there, and here was the top 10 priority list of the governing body that I discussed. What were we able to accomplish from that list or not?
Okay.
Quickly go to our website here. I'm not used to using this Microsoft. Google person. Let's see. Okay. So this is our website. Let me bring it up here. Okay, so when you're in our website, the About Manassas Park, go down to City Departments and find the Finance Department. That's where our audits will be and our budgets. So click on that, and you'll look at the bottom right, This is our latest audit. It's called the CAFR, the Comprehensive Annual Financial Report. And then the adopted city budget for FY21 or previous fiscal years. When you click on these, it'll take you to a bunch of other links. If you want the entire budget book and the actual Excel spreadsheet, you click here. If you want the actual presentations, and I think last year we did a lot of more YouTube videos as well, so we have the links to the YouTube presentations, so you can get a feel for that. But the top 10 priority list, if you go to the budget book itself, you click the PDF, it'll open that up. And we'll use the new picture from today on this next budget book. And the first section is always the executive summary. And I always put I'm sorry, this is too hard to read up here, but if you open that up, you'll be able to read at least what was the top 10 last year. And I think it was also an FY20 and FY19 budget also had. But I can send you, there was about, I think, 30 different priorities, and I try to categorize them. Sometimes they're like the same, so different governing body members will have kind of the same priorities, so I just lump those into one. Sure. Sometimes they're worded a little bit slightly different, but we try to consolidate as best we can. And then you literally just fill out a survey about how you rank that priority overall. So we try to get to a consensus about what the top 10 is. But that's where that one is.
Laszlo, let's see if there's any questions. Councilmember Amaya, do you have any questions? Okay. The folks at home, Councilmember Mensing, do you have any questions?
No question.
Okay. Councilmember Javed?
No question.
Okay. Vice Mayor Banks?
Will the department directors provide the videos like last year again?
If y'all like that, and we're still in COVID time frame, if y'all like the videos, we can do that. That way you can watch them and we can have more time for discussion, but it's really your preference. If you prefer to be briefed in person to go through those presentations, that's up to you all, but we can do either.
Okay. Councilmember Hampton, do you have any follow-up questions?
Not at the moment.
Okay.
I might down the road, but not at the moment.
Obviously, I prefer briefing you all in person versus talking to my computer alone.
Me too. I prefer person.
Interact a
I
little.
like your person as well.
I like the interaction also. Yeah.
It's hard for me to see. All right, so March 23rd is the new school board presentation. Then you all want to preserve March 30th as a budget deliberation day?
We can leave it on the calendar, and if it's not needed, we could strike it.
Okay. Are there any other questions or edits that we'd like to make to this schedule?
Is everyone in general agreement with the budget scheduling calendar?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. In that case, staff recommendation is that the governing body adopt the attached budget calendar for FY22 with changes, with the changes that were made. So, okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. Thank you. Okay. State library funding expenditures, and Laszlo is still up. I'm very glad to hear that these funds must be used for library materials. This prevents localities from just dumping the funds in their general fund and not increasing the size of the collection, which is important. Okay.
Settings were off here. There we go. Yeah. So this agenda item, it was pretty self-explanatory, but one component I dropped the ball on with the budget amendment is I should have incorporated this number in the budget amendment, and there was just so much that slipped my mind, but the library team reminded me of this. But essentially, for background, when we were developing the FY21 budget, we were still in the process of creating our first ever library, and we did not know how much funding we were going to get from the state. We looked at Falls Church, we looked at their budget, we tried to do our best guess of what we would get, so we came up with a number of approximately $17,500. The state was incredibly generous with us, and came back already within FY21 in the late summer and said, no, you're actually going to get $65,000. And then right before Christmas gift from the state, they said this year we're going to give you an additional $3,800 this fiscal year for a total of $69,170 that you're going to get from the state. Virginia of Library. We've been accepted into the Virginia of Library, and we're going to keep giving you annual funding. And FY22 is going to go up to $70,000. So we're one of the few jurisdictions that actually keep getting an increase. It could be that they're trying to help us get established and to serve our community. But this was very helpful because again, we weren't planning on having that amount of money. This revenue, per the mayor's point, the state requires that we spend it on actual library materials to serve our residents with as many material options as possible. So with the fiscal year 21, this was an interesting year because we budgeted, so we split kind of the creation of the library capital within 2 fiscal years, first half in FY20, second half in FY21. So we did do some material purchases in FY20, but the majority of it was actually done in FY21. That's when we received the invoices. So we spent in FY21 roughly $48,000 in materials. But when you subtract the $69,000 that we received from the state from the $48,000 that we spent, we still have an additional $20,800 to spend. If we don't spend it, then the Virginia Library is going to say, well, why aren't you spending it? Maybe, do you not need that money, right? But this is essentially free money for the city, for us to invest in additional library materials. So we would have an additional $20,834. So I'm recommending that you authorize city staff to go ahead and utilize those $20,834 for library materials for this fiscal year. Again, the budget that LS&S, or the library contractor, what they forecasted for a neighborhood library, which is what we have right now. We don't have a full-scale library. We have a neighborhood library, just like the town of Dumfries. You usually want to spend roughly $30,000 per year on materials. We're getting more than double that support from the state. The good news about that is we're going to be able to bulk up our library materials in preparation for the downtown library, which is going to be much larger, which is going to need over roughly a $70,000 annual materials budget. So that's going to be funded by the state. Previously, we thought that was coming from city taxpayer money. Now it's actually going to be paid by state resources, which is great help for our city. That's one less expenditure. Just a little bit more background, because when I said paid by city taxpayers, this isn't a new expenditure. We were spending a lot more on the county library services. So doing this, we actually achieved some savings by going in-house, and we balanced kind of the perspectives we were hearing from the community of those who demanded robust library services, and those who said libraries are outdated, we need to move on. We, lower the taxes, constrain the budget. We had a balanced approach here to kind of to do our best to really satisfy.
It was a compromise position. Yeah. Okay.
That's the recommendation, and if approved, I'll go ahead in the next budget amendment, which we usually do around May, June timeframe, to wrap up this fiscal year with any needed adjustments, especially with FEMA, with COVID-19. There may be some adjustments coming down the road. This will be added to that budget amendment if you all give me the authorization to.
Thank you, Laszlo. This is good news because we do need to build our collection. Let's start with the folks at home. Councilmember Mensing, do you have any comments or questions?
No questions. I'm just very happy that we're getting this money to ramp up our collection.
Right. Councilmember Javed?
Yeah, I got a question, Laszlo. My understanding was we're paying LS&S a set amount of money every month for materials. So does that number go down once we get this funding?
No, so the LS&S contract, we have an operational budget, so this fiscal year is $250,000. That's divided by 12 months, and that's what we paid. The materials budget is an annual budget of $30,000, and they come, frequently once a month, once every 2 months. They submit a request to Jay for additional materials procurement. Jay usually forwards it to me as well for approval, because it's usually over the $5,000 threshold. And so they had that pot of money by which to come back and request from the city. And I'm sorry, I'm looking down because I see if there's somebody still looking at someone when I talk. They have the ability to tap into that 30,000 threshold, but not to exceed it each year as part of our budget parameter. So it is part of the operating budget. It's just a pot within the operating budget, but it's separate from the base contract for operations for staffing that they have.
Do you have a follow-up, Hasib?
Yeah, I just want to make sure that we're not double paying for materials if we're getting state funding.
No, the question is how do we pay those invoices that LS&S sends, right? Before, when we thought we were only getting $17,500, well, $17,500 of our budget, or actually all $30,000 or $17,500 of the materials budget, which we were using to pay the invoices, came from state money, and the rest, the $12,500, came from city taxpayers. Now 100% is coming from a state funding resource instead of city taxpayers to pay for the material. But we're not double paying LS&S. LS&S literally sends us an invoice that lists all the books, all the e-materials for our approval, just like any other department would submit a procurement request.
But the budget will remain the same of $250 annually.
Well, again, that's the operating for salaries, right? So there's an additional $30,000. In FY21, we didn't have it because we lumped it into the materials budget into the startup budget. And FY22 was the first year that you were going to see that $30,000 in addition to the $250,000 for the actual ongoing materials buildup. That will have to increase in FY22 to match the state money that we're getting. So previously, before we knew about the state money, we would have budgeted just $30,000 in FY22 for materials, and maybe a small piece of that would have come from the state. We weren't sure. Now we're going to budget $70,000, and it's going to 100% come from the state versus from the city.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah. No further questions.
Okay, thank you. Vice Mayor Banks?
Thanks.
Did he say no questions? I have trouble
Yes,
hearing.
no questions.
I can tell.
Okay, Councilmember Hampton?
I have a related question, and it's more about utilization. Let me take this off. I keep forgetting I have it on. What I would like to see is the utilization rates from the opening of the library till the end of the calendar year, and as well as the end of the next quarter. See that utilization, January, February, March. It's related, but doesn't have to do with the money at the moment.
Sure. Yeah, we're not entirely open. It is by appointment only, but we can present at least kind of how many appointments.
I would like to. That would give me an idea of how many people are coming in there.
Yeah. And that would give you an idea of how many people come to the neighborhood library. I wouldn't use that to assume that's the number that are going to come to the downtown library. That's going to be vastly different.
Yeah, that's a little down the road.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it's a couple of years away. Less. You're
Yeah.
Do you have a follow-up or anything?
No, I don't.
Okay.
Thank you.
Councilmember Moore?
Yeah. The only question I have is what role does the library board play in the expenditure of these dollars, these state dollars?
Yeah, so they're an advisory board to you all, but the library staff does present policies to them, and what they ratify is kind of the procurement strategy. It's an actual document that outlines what the goals are, but they can also provide inputs of the goal. The purpose of the library advisory board is kind of be tuned into our residents and say, hey, here's kind of more what we really want, but the library also surveys its patrons, so it's kind of getting a feel for what our residents want, but it's another voice there that's really there to guide the library staff to make sure that they are getting things that our residents are.
People want.
Correct.
That's good. Okay.
Do you have a follow-up?
That's good. I'm good.
Okay, Councilmember Amaya, no questions? In regards to utilization also, we certainly look forward to, in normal times after COVID is over, we look forward to all kinds of programs being sponsored at the library, especially for children.
Right, and I know that Prince William County had to curtail a lot of their availability because of COVID. I mean, that's just, unfortunately, that's just the state we're in at the moment.
It is unfortunate, yeah. And a library, in reality and in concept, is a real public good. It's for public progress. Thank you very much, Laszlo. That was very informative. If there's no further questions, the staff recommendation is that the governing body authorize the city manager to purchase an additional $20,834,000 worth of library materials this fiscal year, funded by the Commonwealth of Virginia, and to add this to the second budget amendment later this fiscal year. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, next we have discussion about stop sign on Manassas Drive.
Yeah, evening again. I just want to clarify that we're not looking for action at all. This is more of a attempt to solicit kind of grassroots feedback from our community about what they would like to do in that area. This stems from a conversation we had, I want to say a couple months ago, where we were looking at that stretch of road between Carondelet up to Bloom's Park on Manassas Drive. That's the longest stretch of road in our city, especially from a 4-lane standpoint, where there's no stop sign, traffic light, speed hump. There's nothing stopping or slowing people down, especially that red area there, the 4-lane roadway. There was some concerns before about speeding. The data in terms of speeding from the police, it's not one of the most high speeding areas in the city, despite that. But it is the area where if you do want to do a little bit of racing, as some younger people in our community would like to do, especially coming from Bloom's Park, right when you get to Stephanie, there's that straightaway, and actually it's downhill, a big piece of it getting to Carondelet. So if you really want to test out a car and see how quickly you can get past, that's the stretch to do it. And we've heard complaints that that's been happening. Our police have been responding. They try to monitor that area. They've issued citations to some of they've spoken to, not just here, but in other parts of the city. When they get complaints from residents and the resident identifies who the vehicle is, they'll go out and try to talk to them and say, hey, we're hearing that you're doing this thing. Now, the big thing is police, if you show them a video, they don't have the legal authority to act just from that video, but a judge does. So what I've asked the police department to do is to help develop a guide for residents. So this is, the stop sign thing is just one component. Again, I'm putting it out there to start a conversation because we really need to hear from the community on this one about what they would like. But in terms of what we're doing as a staff, the police are going to develop a guide for what to do when you see speeding or vehicles driving through a stop sign. The right answer always is still to call the police, but don't get frustrated if the police don't have legal authority to act on that call just because you've shown them the video. They're going to go, if you have a license plate, they'll go and then they'll communicate, but they can't act on it. But we're going to set up a guide for what you can do as a citizen, because you do have power. If there's someone who's abusing that, you've seen that, you have evidence. Again, a police officer can't look at a video and take action against someone, but a judge can. So you can show that to a judge, and a judge can make a decision about what to do with licenses and other things as well. So it's if it's a public nuisance that police just, we haven't been able to target them, there are other methods to empower residents to take actions themselves, but we're going to continue to support residents to the best of our ability with our police. Just some data for that specific stretch I wanted to share with you all. Over the last 18 months, we received 5 complaints directly to the police. That doesn't count, the emails that Mayor Rochelle will get a lot from residents, or direct emails to staff as well, but direct calls to the police. We've had 4 crashes in that area, nothing major in terms of the crash data, 11 citation issues, and then 32 traffic stops. So we've been aware that we've been getting complaints there. We've tracked it. It's just we're not seeing the same kind of speeding in that area as we are in others, mainly 28 to Euclid on Manassas Drive seems to be more, and if you look at kind of the heat map of where these incidents are occurring, that seems to be a bigger one, and there's more traffic volume there as well, which is another reason why you see more speeding there as well. So again, this is more of a conversational starter. Our residents are brilliant, because the 2 comments that we received one earlier, and I don't know, did you email from that? The other comment that we received? Did you email Jeanette the other comment we received?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, do you want to read that comment?
I have not received anything from Keith.
I can read it. Let me see here. So the first comment that you did read out loud, that sounded almost exactly like something that our community development department would say. She's absolutely right. The stop signs are not intended to enforce against speeding, right? The problem with this, again, is that long stretch where there's nothing breaking it up, and you do have a lot more people now walking those streets and crossing. And there's no good crossing options. It's a pretty long stretch between that road as well. It's another barrier. Yes, if someone's going to be, racing, will they run that stop sign? Sure. But now our police are not only going to issue them a speeding ticket, they're going to issue running a stop sign, and hopefully it'll build up so that they'll actually get their license suspended as well.
Laszlo, I'm sorry, I found it on my phone. I didn't receive it on my laptop. There must be something wrong with the Wi-Fi. Ms. Nellie Valentin, regarding the stop sign on Manassas Drive, has the city considered reducing the speed limit on Manassas Drive from 35 miles an hour to 25 miles an hour? Are there pros and cons identified if this option was considered?
Yeah, and that was, so I said the first comment was the same thing the community development department said. That comment was the same thing that the police department said. Well, have we even considered, maybe we want to consider reducing the speed limit if that's a concern in that area as well. So that is an option, but again, the goal is, there may not be a right answer. It may be a 20/80 rule here, where it's just a handful of cars that are causing the problems that police are going to continue to try to track down, and we really need residents to help us out. And if they have video, turn that over to the magistrate, to turn it over to the courts system to handle if you see repeated abusers, and the police will be there to help you. But we really the purpose of tonight was just really to bring this issue up and to try to solicit feedback from the community, because the community may not want to reduce the speed limit. They may want to just get home and not have to slow down getting home. The community may not want stop signs. We want to hear from them, or they may want it. They may be very concerned about their kids and other people, all the pedestrians in that area. They may be concerned about speeding in that area. But until we hear from them, we really don't know what direction they want to go.
When my husband and I first moved to Manassas Park, that road, that portion of highway was 25 miles an hour, and there were a lot of complaints by residents. They didn't want to be limited by the 25. So I had no feeling one way or the other, because I obey the speed limits, but, Okay.
And that's going to be a tough one, where if it's a mixed bag, then ultimately, we'll have to make a best call for what we think is the best solution here.
Okay.
I don't recommend speed bumps. I know that is the way, a significant way to reduce speeding, but it doesn't always work, and it's not good for cars to become every day running over the speed.
Well, it's expensive, and then the snow plows, and there's a lot of complicating factors. It slows down
emergency vehicles.
Yes, it does. So let's start off here. Councilmember Hampton, questions or comments?
No questions or comments. It seems pretty straightforward.
Okay. Councilmember Moore?
No questions.
Okay. Councilmember Maya? Okay. Councilmember Mensing?
No question.
Okay. Councilmember Javed?
Yeah, I just have, a concern, is that, we have that four-way intersection stop sign currently, and there's reports of vehicles that don't stop there. But when you put a stop sign there to regulate traffic, the other vehicle is going to assume that that vehicle knows the traffic pattern. And my fear is that if we put this other stop sign and the same result happens, we're going to put others in danger when people are passing that stop sign without stopping. That's my only concern for this. I wouldn't mind a public hearing, but I think there's other ways we can reduce speed, and I don't know if breaking up with a stop sign will be the best way to go.
And if I could just add, I forgot to make one comment. We are putting in the CIP, you'll see a request here for a comprehensive Manassas Drive evaluation from a point in the west, I forget what section we were looking at, all the way to Bloom's Park, to evaluate our traffic signals, especially 28, to make sure that we're facilitating our vehicles to be able to get on 28 easily, because I see a lot of times in the morning where the westbound commuters trying to get on 28 from the eastern half of the city, and when 28 backs up, the opposite side gets the green light first. They're turning left, and by the time they get the green light, it's already backed up, and then you have to wait a few cycles before you get on. We need to reevaluate all of our traffic signals, our stop signs, and do a comprehensive analysis, traffic engineering analysis. You will see that in the CIP. We could wait to make decisions until we do that evaluation, but I do want to hear from the public because a lot of these issues really come down. There's a traffic safety component, but there's also a public preference component as well.
Okay. Vice Mayor Banks?
In the meantime, can we use that sign that tells you how fast you're going?
We did put one up there. That was the first thing we did attempt when we started getting complaints. So we did put it up there. I haven't checked if it's still up there. I'll double check if we kept it up there or not. But we were hoping that would mitigate some of the speeding concerns.
Okay.
Thanks.
Okay. The staff recommendation is that I beg your pardon?
Councilmember Mensing has a question.
Oh, I'm sorry. Councilmember Mensing?
Hi. And this might be completely off, but I'm not sure what the regulations are in Virginia. What about a speed camera? If we don't have police to enforce the speed limit, we're not going to have police to enforce a stop sign. So
We can only put those in certain locations, right?
The speed cameras, remember, we were discussing that a few meetings ago. We're in a school zone.
We're limited.
I would have to go back and check with the police chief and deputy chief to see with the contractor if we can pick Manassas Drive because of our elementary school, or if it's just Euclid Avenue. We were discussing Euclid Avenue as an option, but you're right, maybe this would be the better option. But I don't know if we can pick either or, if the distance is too far from the elementary school to allow us to do that for Manassas Drive.
It's school zones or work zones, right?
But I think it's the school zones that you're allowed to do this, yeah.
But I thought they were also allowed in work zones.
I don't recall that.
Okay,
You could be right.
okay.
I don't recall.
Okay.
And we're limited with the number that we can have, also based on population.
Okay.
But we can follow up with the police and see, and the contractor and check out the Virginia law on that and see if maybe we can do it in Manassas Drive, or maybe we can alternate.
Chief Lugo is not on tonight.
He may be on, but he may need to go back and check. But Chief, are you on? Do you know the answer to that?
Yes, sir, I'm on. Yes, the speed cameras are only designated for school zones while the schools are in session, and then only in construction zones.
Construction.
So I guess we can find out if we can do it, but I think you're right when you said it's probably too far from the Cougar Elementary School for us to enforce it on Manassas Drive.
Okay, thank you, Chief. Are there any other questions or comments? Okay. The staff recommendation is that the governing body approve holding a public hearing at a future governing body meeting to hear from residents about the installation of a stop sign on Manassas Drive and Greenshore Drive and William Street. And this would not be to put the stop sign in, it would merely be to explore placing it in via a public hearing.
Can I add a clarification? I got clarification from the city attorney. It wouldn't technically be a public hearing, it would just be a public input session.
A public input, okay.
Usually for legislative action in terms of code amendments.
Okay, so that would change the recommended motion to approve holding a public information session.
Public input session.
Input session. Okay, do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries unanimously. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, so manager's report, you're still up.
The only thing I had to bring up, a couple things related to the downtown. Over the next 1 or 2 meetings, and then maybe stretch out beyond that, we're going to start talking about the city hall and infrastructure budget as we're getting updated numbers. So next Tuesday, I'll be doing a presentation to highlight what the initial updated numbers are. That's not final. There's still a lot more work to do. It's been a back and forth process with staff and the developer and their design team. But I do want to show you some preliminary numbers. to show you where we're going, what the major categories are of those expenditures as well, to start informing you of that. And hopefully we'll also be able to bring the financial advisor who's going to start explaining to you all what the EDA is going to be doing in terms of the issuance of industrial bonds. We had two options. We could have done a certificate of participation or EDA industrial bond. Both of those paid via lease purchase agreement, right? A lease to own agreement. Per the financial advisors, a certificate of participation is not as common in Virginia. It's been done, but it's not as common. They believe that a much lower interest rate will be yielded through the EDA issued industrial bonds backed by the lease purchase agreement, therefore yielding greater savings for the city in the long run. So that's the method that we're utilizing, but they're going to brief you on that and what your all's role is. Essentially, your all's role is agreeing to, yes, you're going to be making the lease payments, right, for your resolution. It's not the actual legal agreement. You have the non-appropriations rights still that you reserve. It's just you're signaling to the people who will be buying the EDA issued bonds that yes, the city intends to pay our lease payments. And that's going to be the governing body's role is approval.
So we don't intend to exercise our non-appropriation clause.
It's not like we're promising, yes, we're going to be responsible here and make our payments. We have no intention to utilize that. But that's your all's role but Davenport and McGuire Woods, our bond counsel, will be here to just go over kind of all the legal instruments surrounding those financial instruments, and then they're going to do the same thing for the EDA, who's going to be the actual one who's issuing the bonds. Thankfully, we got the EDA up and running for our city. For more background, we didn't have an EDA, or I think we had an EDA before, but it wasn't active, so we were worried we're going to have to utilize the Prince William EDA to do this for us, and that's another jurisdiction, and so that was going to be difficult to get scheduled, but luckily with the EDA now we have that flexibility to kind of control the calendar for when that can happen. And then also, I'll present the draft this coming Tuesday, and then likely I'll have the final budget, the City Hall and infrastructure budget. I want to say the first meeting in March is when we'll have that wrapped up, and then a couple weeks after that is when the EDA work will be done, and the LPA will be done, the lease purchase agreement, the industrial bonds will be issued backed by that. The other issue too, or the other thing I want to note, in early February, the first meeting in February, our branding consultant will be here. They'll be doing a tour of the city. They'll be engaging with staff, our communications committee with the EDA on February 3rd, but they'll be here also on the February 2nd. So we'll do kind of a quick kind of solicitation of your all's vision for what you believe our city is, what's our brand appeal, your conception of the importance of our history, or any direction you want to take for the city. They're going to want to hear that there. But they're doing a survey there. They're actually going to be releasing or giving to us, Keith and I, to release on our social media an actual public input survey as well. So they're going to be soliciting feedback from our residents. And then after they're done with our tour, a week or two later, after they're done tallying kind of the survey, they're going to set up a Facebook Live with our residents as well and kind of solicit feedback from our residents on the branding. And then they'll come back to us and make a professional presentation on what they recommend. That balance is kind of the desire of where we want to go, but that works from a professional marketing standpoint as well. So that's coming, but I wanted to give you that heads up to start thinking about what your vision is in terms of the city brand concept and marketing concept.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we do have a closed session this evening. Dean, would you please read us into closed session?
Good evening. I recommend the governing body go into closed meeting to consult with the city attorney pertaining to probable litigation related to the city's use of eminent domain for the acquisition of Lot 1A, Connor Center, for a new city hall, public parking, and a public road pursuant to paragraph 7 of subsection 2.2-3711A of the Code of Virginia.
Okay, do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
I think we need one more aye. Okay. Did we get all three? Okay. Opposed, abstained, motion carries. We'll go into closed session. We'll take a 5-minute comfort break prior to closed session. We've gotten in the habit of doing that.